Referring to her confession that corroborates Mr. Daniels' confession.
Well, the statement that was made implicating the defendant in something was what we had ruled, or what was the objection was to. I don't know what these statements are that she makes on this recording. If they're not being introduced to prove the truth of the matter asserted therein, then they're not actually hearsay. If they're not a statement implicating Ms. Daniels in anything, then it's not a statement against penal interest. So I don't know particularly what the basis would be to object to it. I mean, have you heard and reviewed this statement or this body cam?
We have. It's been some time, but my motion was that in regard to extrajudicial statement by the co-defendant because of our right of confrontation. Now, if they want to play her statements and then put her on the witness stand and let us cross-examine her, then we don't have a real issue. But we will be denied the right to confront or ask her about anything she says on this video. And that's a pure violation of Crawford.
Why is it necessary to play the Crystal Daniels portion of this tape?
It's not, Judge.
I think in order to be consistent, I have excluded the testimony of the mother of this child that alleges her child said something because of the fact that I thought that was hearsay. And it would seem to me that under the circumstances that in erring on the side of caution, it may be better to allow you to play that portion of the tape with the exception of any statements made by Crystal Daniel, and then we'll go from there. So I'm going to sustain Mr. Lockhart's objection to that portion of the body cam footage that had to do with Crystal Daniel's statements, but you're entitled to play the rest.
And we're fine with that. The point being was the motion which we agreed to was not litigated, so this is here's where I'll go.
I'm not making a ruling on anything except for the fact that this particular portion of this is not, I'm not excluding it based on what was said at the prior hearing. I'm excluding it based on the fact that erring on the side of caution, and I want to make sure that there's nothing that comes in that would deprive the defendant of his right of confrontation. So at this point, I'm just going to deny allowing that portion of Crystal Daniels' interview by Sergeant Baker, and we'll allow you to play the rest of the body cam footage. Was there anything else we need to take up before the jury comes back?
Yeah, what I was going to say is because there hadn't been a ruling, we haven't redacted this from the video, so we need a few minutes.
All right. Do I need to allow you to have a recess to do that, or can you do it right here? Let's get it to where you can redact. Go ahead and do that. We'll just give you a minute. Rather than me step off again, we'll let you do it right now.
I'll take about 15 or 20 minutes.
15 or 20 minutes?
Just to confirm, play it back in its entirety to confirm there's no statement.
Well, under those circumstances, I'm not going to sit here for 15 or 20 minutes while we do that. Is there anything else we can address while he's working on that?
I don't know of anything else. I'll just state we will request an adjournment before they play any recording of Crystal Daniels saying anything. And also would request that we have an opportunity to view the redacted video.
I'm going to give you an opportunity. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give Mr. Etheridge, in view of this, an opportunity to redact the video. I'm going to give you an opportunity while I'm off the bench for you to review it. And then I'm going to ask the bailiff to let me know as soon as you're ready. I will send word to the jury that we're going to take a little longer in order to take care of some technical difficulties and that they'll just need to take a longer recess. And as soon as that is done, then we'll come back. As far as you objecting, we'll note that you have a running objection to any supposed statements of Crystal Daniels coming in, but we'll have to have a hearing on each one for me to determine that. I did not interpret the statement that was made by the state agreeing as anything other than the alleged statement that she gave, which tended to incriminate your client, and that was why I tend to think that the state is correct that we only dealt with that one issue. If you're saying that there's a statement that Crystal Daniels made that was not a part of her confession, that you still object to it, then I'm going to determine, first of all, whether or not that constitutes some sort of an exception to the hearsay rule or whether it is in fact hearsay. You have a right to confront your accusers, But if there's nothing accusatory in that statement, then I'm not sure it deprives your client of the right of confrontation. So we'll deal with them on an individual basis.
Yes, sir.
And Judge, just so you know, I don't think there's going to be another recording that has her voice in it, but we will confirm that. We've redacted her from every other thing we have. So.
All right. Well, let's give Mr. Etheridge an opportunity to try to redact this, and I want Mr. Lockhart to have an opportunity to view it and determine whether or not it meets his, if there's any objection to it, then we'll come back in and we'll look at it. So just, I'm going to ask the bailiff to let me know as soon as you have this ready.
All rise. Court's in recess.
Recording stopped.
Hey, do any of y'all recall receiving the redacted confession of Joseph
We'll have
like 30 weeks ago?
When was it sent?
No, you're young, so I would anticipate you're probably right.
clerk's office.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, well, before we start watching that video, I had mentioned that the jury has to be out of the Montgomery Bell hotel in the morning early for a church camp group to come in. I originally said we'd start court at 8, but they're going to bring them breakfast here. So we're going to have them eat breakfast at 8 o'clock here and start court at 9 like we had planned. So
How long will we go on Saturday?
I'm not sure. We probably will not go till late in the afternoon. I've got some place that I unfortunately have to be, that probably mid-afternoon at the latest. You have some issue or?
I don't care how long we go, I just.
This Saturday,
Witnesses and that type of thing.
this Saturday will be more difficult for me to go later than the next Saturday, so if we're still going. Thank you. You may have a seat. Ladies and gentlemen, let me apologize to you for the long delay. During the trial, I have to make rulings on certain types of evidence, and sometimes that means to exclude certain portions of a recording. This delay is my fault. You should blame me and not either side in this case, because I ordered them to redact certain portions. A redaction means they remove, some of you probably know that, but it means that they remove certain portions of that I've ruled you shouldn't hear. There are good reasons for that, but unfortunately, this is an issue that came up because it wasn't clear about something that in a pretrial motion, we normally would handle this pretrial, and this is just an unusual situation that came up. So don't hold it against the defendant, don't hold it against the state, hold it against me if you're going to hold it against anybody for the delay that we've had. But now that they have that fixed, we are ready to proceed, I believe.
The state calls Nicholas Dearman.
Good afternoon. If you'll come right around and raise your right hand and be placed under oath.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony given in this case be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Officer, if you'll speak directly into that microphone when you sit down, that'll help us to make sure everybody can hear, all right?
Yes, sir.
Deputy, will you state your full name for the court, please?
Nicholas Dearman.
Thank you. And where are you employed?
I currently work for Humphreys County Sheriff's Office.
Thank you. How long have you been employed there?
Just under a year.
And previously, did you work for the Dixon County Sheriff's Office?
Yes, sir.
And how long did you work for Dixon County?
Approximately 4 years.
All right. Were you working for Dixon County on the morning of April 4th, 2018?
I was.
And do you remember what unit number you were for Dixon County?
I'm not 100% sure. I believe it was 503.
503. And on the morning of April 4th of 2018, were you dispatched to Garner's Creek?
I was.
And tell me where you were when you received the call to go to Garner's Creek.
I was at the Trails Apartments in Dixon. I was converting from my personal vehicle into my patrol vehicle when the call came out.
Okay. Were you with anyone when the call came out?
I was with Sergeant Daniel Baker.
Okay. Was he your shift sergeant for the day?
He was.
Was he also dispatched to Garner's Creek?
Yes, correct.
Did you both go there?
That's correct.
And did you check on scene at approximately 6:33 a.m.?
Yes,
Thank you. Were you wearing a body camera during this interaction at Garner's Creek?
I was, yes.
All right. And before we get into the body camera video, just give us a brief description of what you saw and who you saw when you arrived.
When I arrived on scene, there was two individuals in the driveway, later identified as Joe Daniels, and I can't remember his wife's name, Crystal, I believe.
Okay.
They were both in the driveway.
Thank you. Now I'm going to reflect your attention to the screen. And show a clip of your body cam video.
Y'all have been around through here?
Checking the semi-aisle.
Y'all check under the shed and all that? Does he come to you if he hears his name? Hey, Doug. Have you talked to your neighbors? Huh? Their 5-year-old son is missing. Okay. Their 5-year-old son is missing. He's autistic. He's got pajamas on. He got out of the house sometime last night.
Oh, shit.
He should have black pajamas on.
That's the first time I've been out since this morning.
Okay. Just keep your eye out if you see a young 5-year-old boy. He's autistic. He doesn't speak. His name's Joe.
You said he was wearing what?
Should have black pajamas on.
Okay.
If you see him, just call 911 and let us know. Appreciate it.
Okay, Deputy Dearman, who was with you, if anyone, as you were doing kind of the perimeter check?
I was by myself, but Mr. Daniels was close by. He was in the backyard.
He was in the backyard?
He followed me through the backyard, and then he stayed in the backyard perimeter.
Okay. It looked like you had a brief interaction with someone that had a dog.
Yes.
Was that a neighbor?
Yes, he lived behind the Danielses.
Okay. At this time, I'd move this portion of the body camera as the next exhibit, please.
Mark it as exhibit 11, is that correct?
10.
10, I'm sorry.
Exhibit 10. Judge, the redacted body cam will have to be placed onto the Exhibit 10 flash drive that we've just moved in. All right, Deputy, did you also have a body camera in operation as you did a cursory interior search of the home?
That's correct.
All right.
Hello? Hello? How you doing, ma'am? We're just gonna walk through the house, make sure he's not in here, okay?
Hi, how you? We're just gonna look through the house, just another set of eyes. Well, y'all sound pretty confident. We gotta make sure before. And get some of these dirty clothes.
You look in the bed, you check this room.
He's got a little back over yonder, back over that way, and sometimes you get on that porch over there.
Which porch is that?
Back here in the back, back over the other way.
Copy of this video is the next exhibit, please.
Well, we're marking this as the next exhibit.
This is exhibit 12, 11.
11.
So, Deputy Dearman, we lost part of the view. Do you know what happened to your body cam?
I had a jacket on that covered it up as I was searching through the house.
And was this just a preliminary search of the house?
It was,
And why do you do that?
just to make sure nothing was overlooked.
Okay. And did you go, which parts of the house did you go through?
Pretty much the entirety of the house. I went in and went to the bedroom to the left initially, as you can see with my camera. And then when I came out of there, I went to the other end of the house where the other deputy, Bledsoe, was at, and just double checked with him, make sure he checked through everything.
Okay. At this point in the morning, there are at least 3 law enforcement officers present. There'd be yourself, and who else was present?
There was Sergeant Baker, Deputy Smith, and then Deputy Bledsoe as well.
Okay. And I think we initially saw Deputy Bledsoe on camera as you entered the house. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. And I ask if you can identify this photo, please. What's that?
That's the initial entrance into the main entrance to the house, which was through the back door.
Okay. And Deputy, if I could just turn your attention to the screen, is the photograph you're holding the same as what we see on the screen?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And I want to kind of point out some spots on here. You're entering the rear of the residence, is that correct?
That's correct.
And what are we seeing here? Are you standing in the threshold of the door?
That's correct. I'm standing immediately in the doorway of the home.
And what do we see here to the left? Screen.
It's a toy box.
Toy box. And directly ahead, what's this?
That's the coffee table.
Okay. And what's over here?
It's some kind of like hutch.
Move that as the next exhibit, please.
This photograph,
Yes.
well,
Sorry.
Next photo. All right. So, Deputy, I have some additional photos to show you since we've had to redact your video. Ask you to identify these photographs for the jury. Is that a still clip from your body cam?
Yes, it is.
And is that from the exterior of the residence?
Yes.
And where are you standing?
I'm standing in front of Daniel Baker's, Sergeant Baker's patrol car to the east of the home.
And can you hold that photo up for the jury to see? And can you identify this man here?
That's Joseph Daniels.
Okay. And what kind of car is this?
It's a maroonish colored Chevy Impala.
Okay. And who is this?
Crystal Daniels.
And what is Crystal Daniels holding?
A photograph of the family.
Okay, thank you. I'll move this as the next exhibit.
13.
Go with two more photographs. Can you identify this, please?
That's another still photo from my body camera.
Okay. And who's in that photo?
Sergeant Daniel Baker, Crystal Daniels, and their other son coming from in the house.
Is that their 8-year-old son, Alex?
Yes, I believe it was.
All right. And he appears to have been exiting the house and coming towards you?
Yes.
Okay, I'll move that as the next exhibit.
14.
And one more photograph. That's a still shot of your body cam.
That's correct.
All right. Who's in that?
That would be the other son, I believe Alex was his name.
Okay.
And Joseph Daniels.
Thank you. I'll move that as exhibit, the next exhibit, 15.
15.
Yes. All right. Deputy Dearman, you've identified the 4 officers that were there. We've talked about your exterior video, your interior video. After you did the walkthroughs, what did you do after that?
After we did the walkthrough, I broke away from the home and began searching. And we really started breaking out. People started flooding in to help with the search, and we just started searching from the home out.
You were literally either the first or second on scene, is that correct?
That's correct. Myself and Daniel Baker were the first 2 on scene.
And shortly after that, did the area fill up with searchers?
Absolutely.
Okay. At some point, were you redirected to a pond?
Yes.
And why were you redirected to a pond?
Some of the assets that were brought in were some canines that tracked a track from the home to a pond behind the house.
Okay. And did you go to that pond?
I did.
And can you identify this photograph?
It's a picture of the pond that was being pumped out that the dogs tracked to.
Can you hold that up for the jury? and they'll get a chance to see it, and we can't display it on the screen right now, but what is that in the middle of the pond?
That is the pump system that they were using to pump the water out.
Okay. And were you standing there as the water was being pumped out?
Yes.
Did you expect to find something?
Absolutely.
Why?
Because we had 2 dogs that separately tracked to that pond.
Okay.
And both of those dogs were trained to track for a human.
Okay. I'll make that the next exhibit, please.
16.
If I could have 1 second, Your Honor. Who was the supervising shift sergeant at the time?
Sergeant Daniel Baker.
Yeah, and how long did he stay on the ground with you there?
Roughly an hour.
And what happened after that?
He entered the Tennessee Highway Patrol's helicopter with the pilot and flew with him.
Okay. Did you see the helicopter land?
I did.
Where did it land?
In the northeast part of the property from the home.
Okay. Thank you. I'll pass the witness.
Taylor? Any reason to keep the lights dim?
Well, I was gonna see if we could have Exhibit 12 pulled back up.
Pull back exhibit 12, if you will.
That was the photograph of him entering the house.
That's Exhibit 12.
Mr. Dearman,
Yes.
you said this is a coffee table,
Yes.
and what's on that coffee table?
I don't recall what's on it.
So it looks like there's clothing on that coffee table, is that right?
Again, I don't know what's on it.
You didn't examine the coffee table?
I did, but I don't recall what was on it.
From this photograph, does it look like those are that's piles of clothing on the coffee table?
I can't say what it is, whether it is or it isn't. I don't know. It's not a clear enough photo.
And you were present, you said, when there was a K-9 unit that was attempting to track Joe Clyde, is that right?
That's correct.
And did you see, or you saw those K-9 handlers start that process, didn't you?
Yes.
And they started that process at the house, didn't they?
Yes.
And they were located toward the front door of the house, is that right?
What do you mean they were located? Where they started their track?
Where they started it.
No, sir. I believe they both started their track from the back porch.
From the back of the house.
Yes, sir.
And then they went around and they went by the maroon vehicle, correct?
I'm not 100% what their exact track was, but I know they left from the back porch area and then they tracked toward that pond. I didn't go with them.
You didn't go with them
no, sir.
When they tracked it, but they were around the house, the K-9 unit.
Yes.
And the maroon vehicle was sitting there close to the house, as you explained.
Yes.
And the dogs were around that vehicle, weren't they?
Yes.
And they didn't hit on anything else there around the house.
Not that I know of. I'm not a handler, so I don't know what their indications are as hitting.
But from what you could tell, the handlers who were dealing with the dogs,
yes,
they followed the dogs where the dogs took them out to the pond, correct?
That's correct.
They didn't take them over to that maroon car, did they?
I don't recall if they did or not. I would assume that they went through the whole backyard, but I don't know.
That's all I have.
Redirect.
Deputy, just to be clear, how long was it before the K-9 units first arrived that you observed?
I'm not 100% sure. I would say roughly an hour if I had to guess. I'd have to look at the CAD card to know exactly.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Any reports? Thank you, Deputy. You may step down. Are we releasing him from his subpoena? You are free to go about your business. Not yours? Somebody's sunglasses are laying. I think it may be one of our bailiffs. All right, call your next witness.
Smith.
Step right around here, Deputy, and raise your right hand, please.
Do you solemnly swear affirm the testimony you give in this case be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Good evening. Would you state your full name for the court, please?
FTO Derek Ray Smith, Dixon County Sheriff's
Can you
Office.
spell your first and last name, please?
DEREK, last name SMITH.
And Deputy Smith, you are employed at the Dixon County Sheriff's Office.
Yes, sir.
How long have you been employed there?
Since March 10th, 2011.
And what does FTO mean?
Field training officer.
Were you working for Dixon County April the 4th of 2018?
Yes, sir.
And did you respond to a call on Garner's Creek?
I did.
You remember approximately what time you were dispatched and approximately what time you arrived?
Call came out at 6:23 a.m.
Okay. And at the time, were you car 549?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And do you know what time you arrived on scene?
I do not recall that time.
Does 6:42 a.m. sound about right? And we can refer to the CAD report if we need to.
Right. That sounds about right.
All right. And just to be definite, I would like to see Exhibit 2 for the CAD report. All right, Deputy Smith, I'm going to refer your attention to the CAD report and looking at Unit 549 DCSO. What time does it have you arriving?
06:42 hours and 59 seconds.
Thank you. And Deputy, what did you do when you arrived?
Myself and Deputy Bledsoe arrived on scene at the same time. He parked in the driveway that belongs to, I believe his last name is Mr. Ledford.
Okay.
Or Langford. And I parked on the roadway and left my blue lights on. At that time, I started walking towards the residence, and Sergeant Daniel Baker asked me to start doing the missing child report.
Thank you. So one of your first assignments was to complete the missing child report?
Yes, sir.
And did you do so?
Yes, sir.
And you did that through Miss Crystal Daniels?
I did.
And did you observe the defendant, Joseph Daniels, at the scene?
He was there, yes, sir.
And how long was he there?
Very few minutes.
Okay. Where did he go?
I honestly don't know.
Okay. Did he get into his car?
He did. A red Chevy four-door car. I don't know the make.
So you're trying to complete the lost persons questionnaire.
Yes, sir.
The defendant gets in his car.
Yes, sir.
And leaves?
Yes, sir.
Does he drive off the property?
Yes, sir.
And can we see this in your body cam?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's watch your body cam video. Deputy, do we see the red Impala?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Deputy, looking back, is this your vehicle with the flashing lights?
Yes, sir, it is.
You and another patrol car are actually blocking the driveway of the next door neighbor?
Yes, sir. That's Deputy Bledsoe's patrol car.
Okay. Deputy, for clarification, the date and time on your body cam are incorrect.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Deputy, are you walking up the driveway of the next door neighbor, Mr. Ledford?
Yes, sir, I am.
A vehicle parked in his driveway?
Yes, sir.
With your car and Deputy Bledsoe's vehicle parked in the driveway also?
Yes, sir.
Okay? Deputy, why did you retrieve your laptop?
That is how we do our missing children reports, and that was to start the program, WinSoms at the time, so that I could start getting all the information. And I had another officer at the sheriff's office waiting for me to finish so he could print the report and send it to dispatch for the TBI missing child.
And that's how information about missing children is uploaded and dispersed statewide?
Yes, sir.
And you get the laptop out of your vehicle that's parked on the road here?
Yes, sir.
And are you going to walk back to the Daniels residence?
Yes, sir.
And you'll be walking again back down the driveway of Mr. Ledford?
Yes, sir.
All right. Yep, I'm going to pause it right there.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask Mr. Etheridge to fast forward to 12:10:10. If he can do that. No. We can just keep letting it play. While it's playing, are you setting up on the hood of your patrol vehicle?
No, that is Sergeant Baker's patrol unit.
Okay. And is Miss Daniels standing there next to you?
While I was walking back, I called for her to come speak with me, and her and Mr. Daniels, I believe, showed up at that time to give me the information.
Okay. And are there any K-9 units deployed right now at this time while you're standing there?
I don't know if I've already talked to 579, which is our K-9 unit, or
Right.
not. I know somewhere in this time period is when he went in service, and I had asked him to call me so I could give him a better location.
So we'll be able to confirm that from the CAD report,
Yes, sir.
whether that unit, the K-9 unit, shows up before or after you?
Yes, sir.
All right. You don't remember seeing any K-9s?
No, sir. There was no K-9 unit.
No K-9s while this is going on?
No, sir. No,
All
sir.
right. And we're going to be watching for, you've testified that Mr. Daniels, the defendant, leaves.
Yes, sir.
And do you know at what point on your video that he leaves?
It's here in just a minute.
Okay. And where do we need to be looking on the video to see his car leave?
It's pretty much through Sergeant Baker's car. I believe you can see brake lights and a little glimpse of the car on the right-hand side of the TV.
Okay. And from your personal memory and observations, you're sure that the defendant left?
Yes, sir.
You watched him get in his car and leave?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, Deputy Smith, as we're approaching the mark, I want to draw your attention to 12 hours, 10 minutes, 07 seconds, and describe what you see on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen at that time mark.
I see his vehicle backing out,
Okay.
and he turns back behind Sergeant Baker's car. And all you can see is just a small glimpse of it.
That's his vehicle leaving right there.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you very much. You can stop that. And I will move a copy of this body cam video as the next exhibit.
Yes, sir.
And I'm also going to move a clip of just the car leaving the driveway as Exhibit 18.
Start out.
All right, Deputy, after watching your video, we've taken some still shots, and can you identify this photo?
That's the driveway of Mr. Ledford.
Okay. And is this a hard copy of what we're seeing on the screen?
Yes, sir.
And you're walking down the driveway of Mr. Ledford?
Yes, sir.
Towards the Daniel residence?
Yes, sir.
We'll move that as Exhibit 19. And from your body cam, you took another still image. Can you identify this?
Yes, sir.
What is that?
That is this photo, and that's from my body camera footage, and that's going to be Mr. Ledford's vehicle
Okay.
in that driveway.
I'll move that as the next exhibit. Yep. And Deputy, can you still see the red Impala in the background, bottom right corner of this photo?
I can.
And it's even harder to see in that photo, but is that what we see on the screen?
Yes, sir.
I'll move that as the next exhibit. Deputy, after you finished the lost persons questionnaire, did you stay on scene for a while?
I was on scene for several days straight.
I think in trial prep you told me about 72 hours straight.
Yes, sir.
What were some of your assignments during that 72-hour period?
Of course, getting on scene, taking the report, missing child report, and then assisting with search efforts.
Were you ever detailed out to conduct any specific searches of residences or fields?
I was later, right after I finished with the missing child report. I went across the street and started searching, and then went north up to the residence right before Pruitt Road. Okay. And then I went across and spoke with my father, who owns the property at Garner's Creek in South Third, and spoke with him. And then I was given a detail to keep the news media at Pruitt and Garner's.
So let's talk a little bit about what you just said, that you spoke to your father.
Yes, sir.
Now, we've had to redact some of the audio.
Right.
Had we played it, you could be heard speaking with your father on the phone.
Yes, sir. I was speaking to my father while en route to the scene.
And he lived 2 houses down from the Daniels?
Yes, sir.
And did you grow up in that area or ever live over there?
I did.
Were you living there before all the houses were there?
Yes, sir.
Did it all used to be just a big farm area?
Yes, sir.
Did you and your father and family have a cattle farm?
Yes, we had cattle and horses.
So you're pretty familiar with that whole area?
Yes, sir.
And I think you asked your dad even to go out and search his outbuildings.
I did.
And why did you do that?
In the mornings, my dad will open his shop up before he goes out to work. And I didn't know if maybe the child had ran out and went towards my father's house and saw a tractor and wanted to climb on it.
Absolutely.
Being told that he was autistic, they're drawn to colors, from what I understand, and having a big orange tractor, I thought maybe it was in my mind a hope that maybe he would be there playing on the equipment.
Okay. And again, you're pretty familiar with the whole area. Did you go over to the Dodson's residence?
I did. That was the first place I went.
And was that across the street from the Daniels?
Yes, sir.
And what did you do there?
Went behind the residence, went around the whole property, and walked the fence line. And the grass was tall across the fence, and you would be able to see if somebody had walked through there.
Okay.
And I didn't see any signs of anybody walking through there.
Now, in the photographs, we showed a couple, and on your body cam, where your vehicle and Deputy Bledsoe were blocking the driveway of Mr. Ledford. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, we saw what may appear to be a little shed on his property.
Yes, sir.
That's actually what's called a tiny house. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And your father, did he sell that property to Mr. Ledford?
I believe so.
Okay. At one point, that was a part of your father's
Yes,
tract of
sir.
land.
Yes, sir.
All right. I'll pass the witness.
Did you talk to any of the other neighbors in the area?
I did not.
What about over at, did you say Debbie Dotson?
I don't believe I spoke with her.
All right.
I went around her property. I believe we knocked on her door and nobody answered.
Okay. And did you go to Mr. Ledford's residence?
No, sir, we didn't.
Would it not be normal to go to houses around and talk to people to see if they saw anything?
At that time, I didn't, because we were just looking for the child.
All right.
And we have that 2-hour window from the TBI to find the child. So that's what we were trying to get into, was that 2-hour window of finding the child. So I didn't knock door to door.
And so it occurred to you that the child may have run over to your dad's place?
Possibly, yes.
Based on a tractor being over there?
Yes.
And that autistic kids are attracted to colors?
Yes.
Right. What else did you do as far as helping to search? Did you go with any K-9 units?
I did not.
Okay. Did you observe any K-9 units work in the area at any time?
I did later in the morning. A female with, I believe, EMA showed up with her dog. I don't know what kind it is.
Okay.
I know our K-9 officer Simmons arrived. I can't give you a definite time on that. He showed up within an hour of me being there.
And did you see what areas those dogs worked on the Daniels property?
No, sir. After I was asked to set up a spot for the news media at Pruitt and Garner's Creek, that's where I was at till, I believe, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and then I went and relieved officers at Lane Road and South 3rd, and I helped block traffic there.
Did you inquire to see where Mr. Ledford's car had been the night before or the very early morning hours?
No, sir, I didn't.
And I assume you don't know where it had been?
No, sir.
That's all, Your Honor.
Anything further?
No, sir, no question.
Thank you, officer. You may step down. You have another short witness. We've got our jury, we're going to have to get them fed, so if you have another short witness.
No, sir, we do not.
All right.
The next witness that is available today will be lengthy and will require a hearing on some provision.
All right, then I think we'll adjourn for the day. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to quit for the night simply because of the fact that the next witness, I'm told, is going to be very lengthy and will require at least some sort of an out-of-jury hearing. So we're going to go ahead and allow you to step back across the way, and then we'll make arrangements to transport you for your dinner and then back to your hotel. Thank you for your cooperation. They can leave them in the jury room.
They can leave their notebooks in the jury room.
Be seated, please. You have something, Mr. Crouch?
Yes. As we were in Chattanooga selecting jury, we did receive another motion from Mr. Lockhart, a motion in limine. So our two witnesses on that were here all day. I released them because it was 5 o'clock, but they will be here first thing in the morning for the jury out hearing.
All right, can we start that at 8:30? Any reason not to do that at 8:30 so that we can have the hearing and not delay the start of the trial?
It's fine with us, Your Honor, if it's all right logistically to get my client here, I'll assume.
Oh, I'm sure they can get him here. So.
All right.
All right, well, let's take the motion in limine up, and I'm assuming that means I have to hear from these folks before we bring the jury in some fashion, and then let us make a ruling on your motion in limine, and then we will hopefully be able to begin the trial promptly at 9. So we will stand in recess then adjourn until tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock.
Recording stopped.
Tomorrow morning at 8:30.
All rise.